Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A long time ago, a child was born to a queen and king, and she was called Snow White. When the queen died, the king married again. This new queen was wicked and hated Snow White. The queen gave order that Snow White was to be treated as a servant. Snow White grew very beautiful, and one day a prince riding by saw her at work and fell in love with her. The queen was beautiful too, and every day she asked her magic mirror, "Who is the fairest in the land?" And the mirror always answered, "You are the fairest one of all." But one day the mirror answered that Snow White was the fairest in the land, and in a rage the queen gave order to one of her huntsmen to take Snow White into the woods and kill her. The huntsman had a kind heart and couldn't do the deed, so told her to run away. She fled into the woods where 7 little dwarfs lived. Their house was small and strange. Snow White entered the little house and, finding it very untidy, started to clean up. Upstairs, she found 7 little beds. She was very tired, and stretching out on one of the beds was soon asleep. When the dwarfs came home, they were surprised to find Snow White, and after some argument decided to let her stay. She promised to cook and look after them. The queen discovered where Snow White was living, and disguising herself as a witch, took a poisoned apple and set out for the dwarf's cottage. She gave Snow White the poisoned apple to eat, and as soon as she bit the apple, she sank into unconsciousness. Thinking she was dead, the dwarfs built a glass coffin and put her in it. For days she lay in the forest in her glass coffin. One day the prince was riding through the forest looking for Snow White and found her. He leaned over and kissed her. She opened her eyes and sat up with a smile. Everyone was happy. The prince took Snow White to his palace, where they were married and lived happily ever after.